Hello, first viewer. I haven't completely worked out what I'm going to say, but it is on the subject of strikes. I've got another one, and I was just thinking, really, how I would make the rules if I were YouTube, assuming if I wanted to be fair. I mean, obviously you can't have people saying all sorts of things. So if you have rules, then obviously you should follow them. Now, I appealed against my last strike, and they responded very quickly. They responded very quickly with a no. And they responded so quickly that I thought they haven't even reviewed it. They just said no without listening to the stream in question. I had to listen to it. It was 90 minutes. I suppose in a way it was instructive. It's not that I don't listen to my videos. I find them actually quite educational. So I timestamp my streams, as some of you already know. I've been told it's very helpful for a lot of people. It's probably because my content is second to none, and I try to make it easy for you people to find stuff, because sometimes, if somebody's talking about you, you don't want to hear about the other stuff. The transcript is quite helpful, but, a lot of people don't quite know how to use it. Anyway, so I'm not going to be dealing with the rules. I mean, the rules are that you're not allowed to incite hatred against protected groups. But when you know that you haven't broken any of the rules, that A, you haven't incited hatred, and if there were any hatred being incited, it wasn't against anyone in a protected group. So when you take the trouble to appeal your strike, and they tell you no, and they haven't even listened to it, while you were forced to listen to it, it is very annoying. So obviously the first demand that we would make is that all our appeals are properly listened to, and obviously they're not listened to because they are refused without a reason. So we go back to the identity of the person who makes the strike. We don't know, it's anonymous, so it's based on anonymous accusations. So, in a court of law, the person suing you can't sue anonymously. I mean, if they want to, murder you and do bad stuff to you, they can do that anonymously. But if you're going to bring an action in law against a person that you think has wronged you, you have to declare yourself. And the first step of justice would be for your accuser to declare himself or herself, or forever make his or her peace. So we would expect a certain standing of the accuser. So if you're going to accuse somebody of infringing the YouTube community rules, then you should declare yourself, and then you should, I'm prepared to declare myself. I would say, well, you said this, and that's against the rules, and I'm in that group, or whatever the reason is, to show that that person had broken the rules. Not an anonymous accusation without without requiring to give further and better particulars of your claim. Then, of course, we have to anticipate, YouTube saying, well, we just haven't got the time. If somebody's offended, then they're offended, and we should take cognizance of their feelings, and I think no. I mean, that's a very kind of feminine way of dealing with a problem. Like, somebody's offended, so you must have offended them, and if you've offended them, then you must be an evil person who deserves no justice and no proper hearing of your appeal. But obviously a more rule-based, transparent way of dealing with the problem of getting strikes must be this: that your accuser must identify himself or herself, and then must give reasons for his or her claim. And then you can identify his or her channel and their standing. I mean, a lot of people just start troll accounts, right? And, they are just there to troll and make life difficult for people who actually produce content, and they don't have to justify themselves. I think that's fair enough. Does anybody have any objections to my proposal? Any lawyers who might think, oh, those poor people who... There are people too, these trolls who start obviously troll accounts with no content, making life difficult for content producers. Well, admittedly, content producers can be troublesome in that, if they break the rules, but if you've properly stated the rules, and the person, the YouTuber, is following the rules, then it's very unfair, isn't it, that they can be given strikes and have their channel taken down through anonymous and unsubstantiable claims, accusations. So that's no kind of justice at all. So ideally, what I'd like, what any sane person who wants free speech, is to require that anyone who complains about your content because it has broken the rules, to say, to A, declare themselves, B, cite the words that are deemed to be, that are considered to be so, yes, they have to say what the words are that they claim has infringed the rules, and then you're allowed to engage with them. Surely that is the only fair way to justice, really. Now, I have no idea who to draw this, I have no idea who to go to about this proposal. I know, obviously they don't care. I mean, if they cared, they would say, well, we have a free speech department and we invite you to, lodge your appeal, and you will definitely receive a proper and just hearing, etc., etc. I mean, I don't see the problem. I think that people probably would be prepared to pay. to get justice. I suppose the problem is that YouTube provide us with a free service and therefore feel no obligation to us. You know, it's like, it's our platform. We can kick you out for any reason at all. Yeah, we can have rules and you might not have broken them, but we can still punish you if we don't like what you say, we don't like the cut of your jib. But YouTube could set an example for free speech of the future. I mean, once upon a time Google said, don't be evil. Why can't they be good? Why can't they be just? I imagine they would say, well, we just haven't got the staff. It would involve so much extra expense. But it would be worth it to be seen as a force for reason and free speech, wouldn't it? I mean, I'd want to do that if I owned a company. But I know that not everyone is me. Can it be easily done? I don't see why not. I mean, could money be made of this desire? Okay, maybe not make us all pay. But I think YouTubers could volunteer to be arbitrator on these disputes between, you know, rival YouTubers, right? I mean, if you're just an anonymous account who doesn't produce content, then should you have the right to complain? All right, yes, you can have the right to complain. I mean, yeah, you can't be offended without being a content producer. But you have to substantiate your claim. You have to say, well, this person said this terrible thing and I think it breaks the rules, and then the person complained about, the YouTuber complained about us, has to, you know, either admit it or say, no, I didn't break the rules at all. How have I broken the rules? And this person, this accuser, has to say, well, you broke the rules when, you know, at whatever minute of your stream it was, and say, you know, you hurt my feelings, or you incited hatred, or whatever. Surely they must be expected to make out their accusation. And so I think they should go to a person who comes from a maybe approved list of free speech arbitrators, of YouTube free speech arbitrators. I know there's a lot of lawyers out there, lots of lawyers who are jobless because it's an overcrowded profession, and they could, you know, maybe offer their services free at first. So if it's in a very simple dispute, then they can you know, kind of low-level arbitrators, and they can have, you know, really quite high-level ones, like, you know, it's an important matter of law, an important matter of politics, it's a philosophical question, or whatever, and they could, I think the service should be offered for free at first anyway, and of course both parties would have to pay. You know, how much is it worth to you to say that this person has done this really wrong thing, has said this really bad thing that broke the community rules. And then obviously the parties to the dispute will have to say it's fair enough or not. So both parties would have to say, I mean, obviously the winner, will be really happy, but the loser will, could also say, well, I didn't know that I was being so bad. I said this thing and it broke the rules, and I had no idea. I mean, the loser could actually be, could maybe even accept the decision and maybe respect the arbitrator, even if the award went against him. So obviously, they have to be reasons have to be given. They can't not be given for this to take place, and this is why that's why you get judgments in courts. If you want to punish somebody, you have to give a reason. And if you appeal, you have to be given a reason as to why your appeal was rejected. And I think it could be fun. I think it could raise standards of justice. It could spark off, more interesting political discussions. And it would be for the glorification of the wonderful people at YouTube and Google. They could change the world for the better just by operating this policy. What do you think, people in the chat? Oh, such a disappointing response. Perhaps other people will listen to it later and they will be more, or give me a more interesting response than Cookies 2050. So that's all I want to say on the subject. Remember to, this is already my secondary channel. I won't be able to stream or upload for 30 more days. But for some reason I was allowed to make two appeals, or I had the option of, I don't know. It's all a bit confusing. But anyway, I could appeal twice against that strike on my main channel. So, who knows, it might be allowed. I don't know. But this is how I'd like YouTube to deal with strikes, to make sure that the accuser identifies himself or herself and gives a reason and, identifies the words that are supposed to have gone against the rules, and then you have the right to appeal, and you have a right to appoint an arbitrator, and then the loser will, they can both parties will be asked for their assessment of the fairness or otherwise of the arbitrator, who will of course be given a reason, and I think through doing this, standards of justice might be raised. Yes, Cookies, if I mattered more, but can't you just concede that it's a good idea whether I'm world famous or not? And I think if you articulate in sufficient detail what you want, with concrete proposals that are easy to understand and easy to implement, then you're more likely to get your way, right? Rather than just complain about it and blame the Jews or whatever. So yeah, I basically proposed a change in the rules. I proposed what the change should be. I didn't just propose a change without specifying the change. The devil is in the detail after all. And I know you are people of no particular influence. You can't tell anyone else about my idea. But perhaps one of these days somebody important and influential will come along and think, what a good idea, what a brilliant suggestion. Why isn't Claire Cole more famous and powerful like me? It is possible, in theory. So that's all I have to say on the matter.